Hi there, it's Anne from Music Discoveries. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Nova Scotia, so I thought I'd sit down and record a short mini lesson to give you some ideas and guidance on my piece called Maritime Lullaby. So this piece was written back in 2013, and I composed it back when I was playing at a long-term care facility. And so I was playing it on my small Christina triplet harp, which was just 25 string. It just went down to a bass C. So if that's you, if you're on a small harp, you'll be able to play this. And it does have an F sharp in the key signature, so you'll need to have your F sharp raised. So in this short lesson, I'm just going to go through a number of elements just to give you some ideas on how you might be able to play with more expressiveness. What I want to talk about first is the very first phrase in the right hand, and it looks like this. You can see the music, and it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. And yes, I'm going to count that to plant that counting in your mind. The artistic nuance is how you handle the repeating G's. Here are the two G's in a row. Now, there's no fingering on the score, so you might have thought to play this with 1, 3, 3. It kind of makes sense to use the same fingering, doesn't it? But if you watched my performance video, which by the way, you'll be able to watch up here if you want to, you'll notice that I actually play this with 1, 3, 2. So I change fingerings on the repeating G's. So I want you to get your harp and do an experiment with me. So you can go ahead and place your thumb on D, 3 on G, and start by playing 1, 3, 3 and just listen to your tone. I find that the second G came out a little bit too loud. If I play with 1, 3, 2, I can craft a quieter second G, and that sounds very beautiful and artistic. So that's what I want to plant in your mind, is to taper the repeat notes. Play the second repeat note quieter. So let's try that again. It's 1, 3, 2. Good. Now, a little level up here. So next thing I want you to try at your harp, and I hope you've got your harp with you, start with an interval of a fifth. You've got your D and your G placed. And then I want you to switch to an interval of a fourth with 2 and thumb on G and C. Let's just practice placing those two intervals. Okay, just trust me on this. It's 1 and 3 on D and G. Then switch to 1 and 2 on C and G. Okay, and this is what it's going to happen within this phrase. Watch. 1, 3. When I play my finger 2, I want to make sure that my thumb places on the C, and then I can link and add C, B. Okay, and that's how I link that fingering. Let's practice that again. And I want you to listen for the quieter second G. Ready, play. 1, 3, 2. Did you hear the quieter G? Great. Okay, so that's your first artistic nuance. Next, let's talk about the left hand. You have a 3-note chord here. It's G, C, and D, which is just kind of a fancy triad. I could have done it. I could have just played a regular G triad, and that would have been quite pretty. But by putting the C in the middle, it just is a little bit more colorful. Isn't that nice? Pretty. So now you can play this. I don't mind if you use a 3, 2, and a 1, or you might prefer a 4, 2, and a 1. Doesn't matter, you choose what fits your hand best. But you do need to roll that chord. And you might be wondering how to coordinate it with the right hand. Well, we want the top note of the roll, the thumb, to coordinate with the first note of the right hand. So your D's are coming together. So you could start with just placing both hands, and play your Ds together to remind your hand those are the two fingers that will play at the same time. Now, the beginning part of the roll has to come before the right hand. So that was really slow motion just to give you an idea, but it's and a 1. Got the idea? Let's do it again. And a 1. And now you can start to speed up the roll. The roll should be really quite fast. Hear that? You want to try that a few times. And you notice how I've got my finger 3 placed and ready to go. I'm not going to play it right now, but I want to train that in my hand. Here it is again. Good. Now let's try adding on the rest of the phrase. So ready, play. 1 and switch to finger 2. C, B, and now here's the next element. The left hand is going to play a 1, 3, 5, 8 pattern. So you're on G, B, D, G. The artistic element that I'd like you to listen for is tapering those 4 notes as you play them. And by tapering, I just mean play them softer. So you'll play G, B, D, G, and you can also slow them down a little bit if you'd like to. Your choice. But I think playing them softer, be careful that you don't play your thumb too loud. It's really tempting for that thumb to kind of clunk out a little bit too loud. So listen for that beautiful taper. G, B, D, G. Okay, I don't even think it's possible to be too soft on that. Okay, let's try the whole 2 measures now. So you've got the taper on the 2 Gs by switching your fingerings. You're thinking about how you're coordinating the roll. So the thumbs come together, and you're thinking about tapering your 1, 3, 5, 8 pattern in the left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? Isn't that sounding beautiful already? It's those little details, those little nuances that make your music sound expressive and magical. Okay, good. Now let's talk about measure 7, which is very similar. You've got the roll, you've got the same melody in the right hand, but the difference is this. Right, you hear that? So the left hand is going to cross over. So let's practice that so you're able to play that fluently without a pause, right? So here we are at measure 7. Go ahead and place the left hand. Personally, I do that with a 4, 2, and a 1, and place your right hand interval of a 5th. Now, all I'm going to get you to do is take your left hand and practice crossing up and over to a G and D. And as you do this a few times, I want you to observe, just notice which string is best for you for aiming at. You need to think about where your eyes are. Now, personally, I'm looking at the blue string, and I know that my finger 3 is 1 above blue because I'm going to a G and a D. My thumb happens to be 1 above red, so that's handy. But when I'm crossing over, I'm looking at this blue string right here. That's my landmark. That's where my eyes are right now. And cross over to the G and the D. Now, next step is to play the rolled chord and leap and land over. Okay, let's do that again. Play the rolled chord, look at that high F, leap and land over. Good, do it again 3 times. Leap and land over. Let's go 2 more for luck. I think 5 is always a good idea. Roll, leap and land over. Once more. Roll, leap, and land over. And you see how my left hand is very efficient in its movement. Be careful that your left hand isn't kind of freezing somewhere and then doing a jerky movement to cross over. It wants to be nice and smooth, like you're tracing a rainbow. Now, let's work on coordinating the roll with your right hand thumb. And then left hand over. Good, let's do that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay, and again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and taper your 1, 3, 5, 8. Okay, does that give you some ideas on how to practice the crossover, keeping it nice and steady, no pauses? Okay, now our next element is down in measure 13. So this is a contrasting section, and you've got a 16th note pattern. I'll just quickly remind you how to count that. You could write in your counting if you need that guidance. So it sounds like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1 and 2, 3. Here it is again. We subdivide 16th notes as a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a, here it is again. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1 and 2, 3. And you'll notice that I'm keeping my hand movement very small. All I'm thinking about is rotating my forearm so slightly. And that keeps the sound very light and soft in the right hand. Okay, when I put it together with the left hand, sounds like this. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 1 and 2, 3. Okay, just soft and light. Now, here's an optional element that you can add if you want to. In measure 14, the left hand has C, G, and E. It's a 1, 5, 10 pattern. If you want to, you can play C, G, and a harmonic. And that would be really pretty. I decided not to put it in the score as a must-do, but I thought I would mention it to you. If you like doing harmonics and you find it pretty, that would be nice to do. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 1 and 2 and then a harmonic. Okay, isn't that nice? Your choice, that's an option. Now, the last thing for us to talk about is tempo. So keeping in mind that this is a lullaby, it's supposed to support sleep. We want this to be nice and slow and steady. And you can opt to play it with a very steady, regular pulse if you want to. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So if it's important to you to keep the pulse very regular, you can certainly do that. If you like the idea of having more space between the phrases and a little bit more flexibility in the tempo, I'll show you where I would tend to do that. So I would save, you could almost think of adding fermatas to the music, and I would do it at the ends of the phrases where the left hand does the 1, 3, 5, 8s. Okay, so listen to this and you can hear where I'm adding that extra time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 so on and so on. You see that? So if you like the idea of having that space in the music, that's where I would do it. And one discovery that I made as I was practicing this piece is I found that it was very beautiful to actually listen to the sound of ocean waves. You know how you can find ambient sounds of ocean waves on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. Go and find that sound. And I just put my earbuds in, so my AirPods, and had the ocean waves in my ears, and then I played the music on top of that. It's not how I recorded. It had nothing to do with the recording. It just had to do with helping helping me create a really beautiful, calming space. So you might try that. If you have a Spotify account, you could just do a search for ocean waves and you'll find all kinds of that kind of thing. If you haven't listened to the performance video yet, make sure that you go do it. I'll put that up in the cards. And of course, I was inspired by the ocean waves, so I took a little trip to Peggy's Cove and shot some really beautiful sunset over the ocean video clips just to accompany the piece. So I hope you enjoy listening to the performance video, and I hope you enjoy learning this piece with all of those artistic nuances. So thank you so much for joining me for a harp lesson, and we'll see you in the next one.